Hey, there we go. It worked. It didn't take nearly as long as last time. Maybe it just felt long last time. I don't know if it actually took a long time or not. It
It
felt.
did.
It did?
It did take pretty long. Yeah, it did. It did.
Oh, well, good. Hi, everyone. If anyone's watching, we're the two non-critics, two lifelong friends and film buffs with very different tastes coming together and talking about movies via the miracle of the interweb. I'm non-critic Dustin, and magically connected with us from Hawaii is
Hawaii. Uh,
is Hawaii.
non- Non-critical. It's funny because they say it like that. Hawaii. They say it just like that.
Yeah, back when I was a telemarketer, I I had a Hawaiian gentleman on the phone, and I kept trying to read his address to him, and I
Mhm.
kept getting it wrong. And he kept he's like, it's not Hawaii, it's Hawaii, and it's Kalu'ae or something like that. And I was like, oh, all right.
Oh, okay.
And okay, so there you go. Anyway, pardon me while I'm sharing the link to this on Facebook in case anyone wants to watch. But today we're doing two movies that on the surface seem unrelated, but my little way of making them related is to say we're talking about the biggest movie of the summer, which of course was probably Transformers, but what I think should have been the biggest movie of the summer, and I think actually was, Guardians of the Galaxy, and then a movie that not too many people know about yet, The Babadook. And let's have non-critic Will start this off. Let's talk about Guardians of the Galaxy. What did you think?
Um. Well, number one, when Guardians of the Galaxy, well, when the trailer first came out, I didn't even know anything about it. I didn't know it was from Marvel. It was Marvel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know. First off, I didn't know anything about
You
Guardians
still
of the
don't know
Galaxy.
if it's from Marvel or not. Marvel?
I just had to make sure it was Marvel or DC, but I didn't know anything about Guardians of the Galaxy until the trailer came out. Um, it looked interesting and it looked very comical. Just the characters, the cast that you have. So when I actually saw Guardians of the Galaxy, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. It just had everything for me. Everything flowed together. From the comedy antics of Chris Pratt to the action scenes, the stories and whatnot. Here we go.
No, go ahead.
um, and also like the music that they had, just any like old school music and stuff. I thought that was pretty cool. That was pretty interesting. Um,
Yeah, the soundtrack, you can get it. Well, I don't know if you can anymore, but Google Play had it on there for free. I downloaded it. It's
oh
just
wow,
like a best hits of the 70s, pretty much. And you
it
continue.
was just pretty cool how um, like the story, how he pretty much is like a thief. Chris Pratt, his character, I'm saying, is Peter Quill, pretty
Star
much a
Wars.
thief, Star Wars, which
It's
nobody calls him that, but
cool to
he
have
just
a nickname. It's all right.
it's cool,
Well,
and he
that's
just
what
travels.
that John C. Reilly said. I'm sorry, that was my favorite line of the movie for some reason. And John C.
Oh.
Reilly is like, it's a nickname. He's like, no, it's not. He goes, it's all right. It's cool to have a nickname.
He just pretty much travels from different planets, different worlds to get like I guess artifacts, any artifacts or
He's like a
money or anything. He's a
treasure.
thief. He's a
Yeah,
pirate or something.
a
There you go.
pirate.
Yeah, he's a space pirate. There you
Oh,
go.
nice.
But I just
Han Solo.
how yeah, he is the new Han Solo actually.
No, I wouldn't say the new Han Solo. It's similar to
Uh,
Han Solo.
I
Anyway,
don't
I'm
know.
sorry. I keep interrupting you.
No, you're good. I mean, overall, I thought the movie was very entertaining. Like the story, like the action, little comedy skits that they have. Pretty good movie. And the length of time, I think it was thinking like 2 hours and change or so. It was pretty good overall. I mean,
Pretty good.
what did you think about it?
Well, the reason I made that noise when you mentioned Chris Pratt is I usually don't like him. He on the show Parks and Rec, which is just a show I don't enjoy anyway, and a lot of people think I'm crazy for it. I like The Office, but Parks and Rec seems like The Office light to me.
I
And
never seen Parks and Rec.
well, good. There's a style. I think I may have mentioned it on the show before because I bring it up all the time with people. There's a style of comic delivery that is very. Sorry, my eye's freaking out. Comic because I'm talking about Chris Pratt. Somebody's probably about to shoot me, but
twitching his eyes.
Oh man. But, there's a line delivery in comedy now that just isn't very funny to me, and everybody's doing it, and he was like the king of it on Parks and Rec, which is like you say something like, "Hey, pretty much awesome." So, all right, I mean, and that's not funny. It's just a silly way to say something, and so he kept that very much to a minimum in this. He did it a little bit here and there, but it felt natural for the character, so I actually liked him in this. And I was familiar with Guardians of the Galaxy before watching it. When they first announced the movie, everyone was saying how weird it was that Marvel would be taking characters like this that mainstream audiences know absolutely nothing about and making a film out of it. And so I checked it out because I was like, well, you're right. That is kind of ballsy of them, so I want to check it out. And I loved it. I loved it right away. And I like the balance of humor and the adventure and all of that. I love all the characters. Obviously, my favorites are Rocket and Groot. They're everyone's favorite, but it's because they're great characters. They're a great duo. Rocket on his own is hilarious, but to have this big hulking kind of idiot tree who's his muscle is really cool. And so I was really, really looking forward to the movie, and I enjoyed it for the most part. But I didn't love it. I thought that a lot of the comedy didn't work very well, and it wasn't because of that line delivery that I was talking about. But there's a lot of people have pointed this out. That scene where Chris Pratt is trying to, or Star-Lord is trying to impress Gamora by talking about the legend of Footloose and the hero known as Kevin Bacon. I thought that was hilarious at first.
Yeah.
And then when he started talking about them having sticks up their butts and Gamora being like, how do they walk around with sticks up their butts? People have complained that's so cruel. That people have complained that how does Gamora know what a butt is? Like, look, they obviously understand each other. I'm sure she knows what a butt is. Get over that. The part that troubled me about it is she took everything he was saying so literally, and that's not really her character. That's not Strax. Oh, man. Wait, Strax, right? Yeah. Strax the Destroyer. Is that his name? Or Drax? Fuck. I'm getting confused with Doctor Who now. Strax is the Centauran on Doctor Who. Drax, or... Oh, Jesus. I'm sitting here telling you how much of a fan I am of the comics. Anyway, that's not her character. He takes everything literally, and she is just kind of mopey and whatnot. She's not really mopey, but she's not that character. And so that bothered me. And there's a lot of moments like that. Like, there's a line where Rocket says, I don't have that long a lifespan anyway. It's like, how do you know? You're the only one of your kind. You flat out said so. How do you know what your lifespan is? And so you don't have anything to compare that to. I mean, that's really a nitpick, but I mean, those are just the kinds of things where, to me, I was like, but then there were lines that I thought were hilarious, like when Drax, I believe that's his name, oh my god, when they said, when Rocket said, he doesn't understand metaphors, they go right over his head. Drax, Jesus Christ. He's like, everything goes over his head. He goes, nothing goes over my head. My reflexes are too fast. I would catch them. Like, that's hilarious. I thought that was really, really fun. But also, I have a problem that this was brought up. I didn't realize it until in retrospect. I've watched it twice. The second viewing, this became a problem because people started pointing out how pretty much everyone talks in exposition. They made basically like there's that scene where you first meet Karen Gillan's character. What's her name? Nebula, maybe?
Yeah.
And she's like, we're both daughters of Thanos, and he blah, 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 blah. Like, yeah, Gamora knows your sisters. You don't have to explain that to her. You're explaining that to the audience, and that kind of takes me out of it a bit. And, Rocket is always spouting everyone's backstory. Drax is like, Thanos killed my family. And they just don't talk to each other, and that bothered me quite a bit. And I thought the story itself was kind of weak. It was weak, and it was a little uneven. I felt like it just sort of went from set piece to set piece to set piece, and there was nothing connecting it, and that bothered me a bit. And I thought the ending, like the scene when spoilers, the scene where Star-Lord starts singing and he's like, "Dance off, you and me, bro." That seemed like it was funny, but it came so out of nowhere. Like Star-Lord has never really. I mean, he's danced before, but he's never. I don't know. It just felt like that didn't feel. It didn't work for me. I don't know. And we're the Guardians. You said it yourself, bitch. We're the Guardians of the Galaxy. It was like that line feels like it should have some more impact, and it just. I know it was them uniting as a team, but it just didn't. I don't know. It didn't work for me. But
what about
a lot of it was good though. What?
What about after that scene when when Chris Pratt's character grabbed the fragment and he was pretty much about to
blow up.
Pretty much about to just blow up, but then everybody else grabbed onto him to share the pain or whatever the hell that meant.
Yeah.
I thought technically they should have blew up.
Yeah.
Technically he should have blew up right then. Actually, he holding it for that damn long. He should have already blew up, but it was just enough time for everybody else to grab hands and just sing "Kumbaya" and not die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that actually struck me a bit of as a Doctor Who-ish moment, because there's a lot of things in Doctor Who where at the end they suddenly do something that doesn't make any sense, and you're just like, I guess I missed something. I was really reminded of Last of the Time Lords, the Doctor Who episode with the Master, where I don't know if you remember, but the Doctor's like this little old man. He's like, meh.
Yes.
Because all of a sudden, everyone in the world is thinking about him. He suddenly resurrects himself, and he's young again. I was like, where the fuck did that come from? And he's like, how can you hate humans when they're capable of this? I was like, well, why don't they do it all the time? Where the fuck did this come from? And it's exactly what I felt like at Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, it was cute to see little Rocket reaching up with his little raccoon hand and all that, and they're all taking hands. But I was like, I don't understand what this means. You said if that thing touches organic matter or something, then it will destroy it. So if touching the planet, because that was his goal, right? I'm going to touch the planet, it's going to blow up.
Yeah.
Well, the same elements that are in that planet are in the human, and I'm assuming alien body as well. They all come from the same thing, so shouldn't it? I don't know. That part sort of. I feel like I'm nitpicking, or like I'm just trying to say I didn't like the movie, but I did. I just didn't love it. It let me down a bit.
Now, my question also: would you say Guardians of the Galaxy, like you said at the beginning, that it's a movie that came out that a lot of people didn't hear much about the comics?
Yeah.
Would you say it's like the same as when Watchmen came out, the DC side? Because I didn't know anything about Watchmen comics until the actual movie came out. So I would. The reason why I'm saying it because I would compare those two. You know, as far as the Marvel side and the DC side, right? Both you didn't really hear about until the movie came out. Then you're like, oh, this is actually a comic? Oh.
Maybe, yeah. I think I'd compare this Guardians of the Galaxy more to Constantine. Constantine is a character that a lot of people who are into Vertigo comics know of and love, and then when they made the Keanu Reeves movie, people were surprised, and they're like, "Really? You're making a movie out of Constantine?" Not a lot of people. The average Joe on the street doesn't really know much about Constantine, but they made the movie anyway, and it was not good. But luckily, Guardians of the Galaxy was good, despite all the negative things I had to say. On the other hand, Watchmen, although it may not be as well known in the mainstream, within the comics community, it's one of the most highly regarded comics of all time. It's like the gold standard. That's the graphic novel that all others are judged by. Whether I agree with that is not up for discussion, but that's just the truth. So I wouldn't say it's quite on that level.
Okay.
And Guardians of the Galaxy was a much, much better movie than Watchmen was, if you ask me. But let's not get into Watchmen. I could go Zack Snyder, man.
Yeah, we won't cross that territory, not today.
Because I mean, we're trying to keep this under an hour. But I don't know. Anything else you want to say on Guardians?
Well, they leave it open. I guess the only thing is that they leave it open for a sequel. Because now it's good to try to find out who his father is, since everybody's seen a spoiler, but his father's not human, which is why he was able to hold on to that fragment for so long, for some reason.
Yeah, that's weird. I'm surprised they didn't go into who his father was, because in the comics you know it like from page 1. At least the first comic I read was written by, it's the reboot of it, I guess, written by Brian Michael Bendis. So it's the current version of Guardians of the Galaxy, and they were going more based on the incarnation just before that, which I've read too. But I mean, like, it was no secret who Peter Quill's dad was. So I was surprised in the movie they didn't really talk about it. Oh well. Oh, and one last thing, and I know I said I'm being overly negative. Overall, I enjoyed the movie, but I was very disappointed with Gamora's character. They really didn't do much with her. She was just very mean and wear tight clothing and be a romantic interest for Star-Lord. That was pretty much it. I mean, I know they had the thing with Thanos, like she's trying to overthrow her dad, and who's not really her dad. But that she didn't work at all. I thought that was kind of fucked up how they treated her.
Yeah.
Like a thing. Zoe Saldana, that keeps happening to her, and she. In the Star Trek movies, she's just there for Spock and Kirk, and they try to make her important, but it doesn't really work. And, poor Zoe. Anyway, moving on.
What about Avatar?
Avatar, she had much more going on, but she was completely CG. So you didn't get to see her emote. They kind of did, I guess. Anyway, so that was the big hit of the summer. Luckily, I think it made more than Transformers. I pray it made more than Transformers. But I don't know. If it didn't, maybe they have to put Mark Wahlberg in the new one. In the next one, he can play Star-Lord. Hey, it's me, Star-Lord. We're Guardians of the Galaxy, Everybody does a Mark Wahlberg impression.
I still haven't seen the new Transformers yet.
Something tells me if you've seen the first 3, you've probably seen this one already. Except substitute Mark Wahlberg. Actually, did you see? I think, did he do one? I'm trying to think. I'm not sure if Doug Walker did a review of it or not, as the Nostalgia Critic. But I saw a very long, in-depth review of it, and it was just the same, all the same, except for a lot of pedophilia jokes.
Oh,
Mark Wahlberg's daughter is underage, dating a boy who's older, and they keep joking about how he has sex with her.
Oh.
I don't want to judge the movie without seeing it, but cool, man. So anyway, the Babadook, the horror film, Australian horror film, that was just released, and before we decided to talk about it, you had asked me what I thought of it because I saw it, and I told you I think it's the best horror movie I've seen in years, and I don't know if that was the wrong thing to say before you watched it, and if it gave you unrealistic expectations. So that's my review of it already. We'll get into more detail, but what did you think of the Babadook?
Babadook. Um, I liked the movie. I thought it was creepy. It was very creepy. Just that I wanted to see more. What I mean about more is that I wanted to see more of Babadook, actually, the creature itself. Because in the movie, it's pretty much you see a lot of him in the shadows, pretty much, or spoil, not really spoiled, but possessing people. But you just see him mostly in the shadows. There's only few parts where you see him come out, but it's quick, very quick. I wanted to actually see more of the creature. Aside from that, it was a very creepy movie. The time it was just an hour and a half or so. Maybe if I would like it if it was just a little more time, maybe just up to 2 hours or so if you showed more of the actual creature. If they showed more of Babadook, I wouldn't mind that. But some things were disturbing, like that the book, the Mr. Babadook book. That was a disturbing pop-up book. I don't want to give anything away.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, since not a lot of people may know about this movie, and I hate talking about the plot of movies in my reviews unless I'm talking about how certain things in the plot don't make sense. But we maybe just real quick, we should say it's about a mother and her son, she's a widow and her son, and he's a troublemaker. He's very disturbed, let's say, and has some issues, and he finds a book. It's a pop-up book called The Babadook, and I've heard it described as a haunted pop-up book, and I guess you could use that word, but that sounds really tacky to me. But it's sort of it's sort of like the box in Hellraiser. It's what summons the Babadook, and so that they read from the book, and Babadook comes. Anyway, continue. The book was disturbing.
Yeah, because
Freaky little pop-up book, man.
There's some just disturbing images in that book. I mean, it's not. When I say disturbing, I don't mean like grotesque or sexually disturbing, anything like that. I just mean
unsettling.
Like it's just unsettling and creepy. Like there's okay, like I say this without spoiling. I don't want to spoil the movie, but the pop-up book shows things that like the main character, the mother. It shows her possessed, and it shows her doing things to the people that she loves and cares about. But it's in a pop-up book, so it looks crazy as hell. It's just so damn disturbing. Like
it's like a demented little kid's nightmare.
One I'll give is they have a dog. They have a little dog, and it's in the pop-up book. It shows her picking up the dog, and it shows the hand just going back and forth on his neck, and then all of a sudden the head just snaps over her. I was just like, what the hell kind of pop-up book is this? So yeah, that I think for me that was one of the most disturbing things was that book. Now see, it would have really freaked me out. It would have really scared me is if with that pop-up book that just leads up to this just big intense moment when you finally see Babadook, but they only showed him for just quick seconds, and it was so fast. Like it was like, oh shit, what the hell, oh shit, and then it just goes away. I want it to be more just boom, like in your face. And then for me that would have scared shit out of me because the book would just lead up to him being right in your presence, and you have nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. You just have to, I don't know, you're just gonna die or fucking. I don't know. So you just gotta have to take whatever he does to you. I guess I don't know.
Well, the reason I said that it's the best horror movie I've seen in years is because it does something that horror is very, very good at, but a lot of people seem to forget it's good at, which is it explores the the things in humanity or the things in our personal lives that we don't want to deal with, and it brings them out into the light. And I like that the film, the Babadook creature, is essentially a metaphor for grieving, because she does not want to deal with the fact that her husband is dead. She doesn't like talking about it. Whenever somebody mentions it, she gets real like tense and kind of bitchy. And she's sort of defined her life based on that, and then sacrificing her relationship with her child. That's why her kid is freaking out all the time, is because he doesn't have that supportive relationship with his mom, and it's because there's this awkward thing between them, which is the death of his father. And the movie basically flat out tells you that that's what it's about, because she starts to see visions of him, but then hears like the Babadook's voice coming from it. And I really, really, really appreciated that the Babadook just wasn't a monster who shows up. There's a reason for it. There's a message to it. And also, I love the fact, I don't want to spoil it, but I love the fact that things don't necessarily resolve the way you expect them to. I really, really enjoyed that. There were moments in the film I didn't like at all, but none of them killed the movie for me. Like, for instance, you wanted to see more of the Babadook. Yeah. Anytime he was on screen, which was always very quick, like usually you'd see his hands or you see his shadow or a silhouette, or like clothes would be hanging in a way that looked like him. That I thought was very, very well done, and a great way of building dread and atmosphere and making us, you can't really trust what's going on. But anytime you saw the Babadook, it took me out of the movie, because for one thing, I didn't think the design was that strong. I think the design works as a silhouette. It works as certain elements of it work, but as a whole, it looked like sort of a stilly Tim Burton-y type of design, and it was more whimsical than it was spooky or scary. And when you see him move and he's doing that like really quick crawly thing, that's something that a lot of horror movies do now. Like The Ring and The Grudge, and really timely movies there, Dustin. But like recent movies with the paranormal, they suddenly they scutter, like insects or something.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel right for this movie. That took me out of it a bit. And I like the idea that the Babadook is something that's more present but not really seen. And another thing was, towards the end, or during the ending, when the shit's going off the rails, and it starts to turn into a conventional horror movie. The movie itself wasn't all that conventional. There wasn't a lot of violence. It was more just small, intense scenes. It was about like claustrophobia, that sort of thing. But then once the possession happens, like you mentioned, it turns into like, Insidious or The Conjuring, which were fine movies, but this movie wasn't that, and I was starting to get really taken out of it. But luckily it redeemed itself, and I still think it's the best horror movie I've seen in a while. Very well made, very well shot. That kid's performance was incredible. That little kid was great. I mean, a lot of child actors, people talk shit about child actors, but he killed it, man. He was fantastic. And so was the mother. Everyone in the movie was really, really great, I think. So just go watch it. But anything else you want to close with on Babadook?
I mean, overall, again, like for me, like I said, it is a good movie. It is very creepy. Just, I don't know. I mean, that's where our opinions differ. I mean, I appreciate the subtleties that it showed, just little glimpses of, like you said, a shadow, his hands or something like that, slowly crawling up the wall and disappearing. That is very creepy, and it worked really well. I just still wanted something, even if it was just one scene where it just pops right in your face, and there's nowhere to go, and you're gonna die. Because I mean, that for me, that would freak me out. I'd be like, "Oh shit!" I would be scared of shit.
I think that's a big difference we have overall in our tastes of things. Is you always want to see more of something, and I almost always want to see less of something. You usually want more gore, and I usually want next to no gore. Or you want to see the monster. I don't want to see the monster. And I think if it were like a Nightmare on Elm Street movie or the Babadook or a Freddy Krueger type character where he's clearly the star of the movie, like you can say what you want. I love the Nightmare on Elm Street films, but Freddy Krueger is the star.
Except the remake.
What remake? Are you? They never remade it. Shut up. So in these movies that exist, not the made up one you just mentioned, Freddy Krueger's the star. Or in the Friday the 13th movies, you turn up, you want to see Jason. But then again, in something like Halloween, you want to see less of Michael Myers, because for Michael Myers, it's about him following these people and stalking the people.
Yeah.
I think Babadook would be... I'd hate to see a sequel where Babadook becomes the star of the thing. I don't. And he becomes the draw, because it doesn't. It would kill the character, I think. Not that there's much of a character, but it would kill the whole essence of what the creature is meant to be, I guess. I don't know. But that's, like I said, that's the difference. Big difference you and I have when it comes to horror films. Like think of the first Alien. You only ever see the alien in full form at the end, and I mean you usually just see his tail, or you see the little dick mouth that comes out of him, or you see suggestions. There's one moment where there's a quick flash of half of his body sticking out of like a vent.
Yeah.
But there's very little. He's not really in it, and then you go to Aliens, and they're all over the fucking place. And you've got the Queen Alien, and it's got... And I'm going to ask you a question before you say you know.
I was going to ask you a question.
I have a feeling that my favorite film in the Alien films is the first one, and your favorite is Aliens. Am I correct?
You're correct.
I'm not saying that to be a dick. I just want to know...
No. You're correct. Now, the question I'm going to ask you, which one did you see first?
The first one I saw was Aliens.
The first one I saw was Aliens. And I was just hooked on that.
Yeah.
So then when I finally saw Alien, I was like, oh, it makes sense now. But I still like Aliens.
Yeah, the first one I saw was Aliens, and I just for whatever reason, it just didn't do anything for me. I mean, I was real little though. And then the one I saw after that was Alien Resurrection. So. Which is ridiculous. But
I think that's why I'm like that. Like, since we both seen Aliens when we were kids, I think that's why I prefer to see the monster. Like, as far as like Aliens concerned, that's why I prefer to see the monster, because I saw Aliens first, so I know what they look like. So reverting back to Alien, when you hardly saw it, I'm like, I know what it looks like. Just come out. Just fucking come out. That was my mindset, because I saw Aliens first. So I'm just like, okay, I know it's a big build up to seeing the actual creature and then, but damn it, I know what he looks like. Come on, just come out.
So I guess we went a little over our half hour again. We'll work this out, but so we're probably not doing a show next week. We already talked about this. Probably the week after we'll do a show. And to anyone who watches this, thanks for watching. I'm glad you stuck with us this whole time. If you just listened to it and did something else, as I know our friend Dan does, he listens to the show and plays video games. That's great, because I originally intended this to be a podcast, but whatever. And all right, so we don't have a sign-off. We probably never will, except for bye.